Hey everyone, it's Chris here, and we're going to be talking about The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. The Poet X is one of the novels that I read during the crazy blitz that was the BookTube games, and also during Blackathon. It was a Blackathon group book, and it was something that really stuck out to me from like the 40-something books I read that month. It's one of the standouts, and why I really need to make sure that I did a review of it first on this channel. I've listened to this book on audiobook thanks to Scribd, which I had a trial of at the time. Really nice site. Might actually subscribe, we'll see. But yeah, loved being able to listen to it on audiobook because this is a book that is in kind of a spoken word form, and the way that this story is told lends itself extremely well to being heard. That's kind of the thing about spoken word poetry, where I've read spoken word poetry like Andrew Gibson stuff. I've heard books, I have some of them, but listening to it is a completely different experience, and I felt like this book really takes you on that journey, more so in audiobooks than it would have been reading it in physical form. The book tackles things like misogyny, sexual assault, and homophobia, all challenged on the page and challenged brilliantly in all ways. I love the protagonist, Yamara. I cared for what she went through. I cared about what she was going through. I could relate to certain aspects of it. I think it's just being a person of color and being in a religious family, and I really understood her struggles with her mother in some aspects of the story, and then her struggles also just with society in ways, and this as well were just really relatable for me as well. Another thing that I just kind of realized, I didn't mention this when I wrote my review months ago, was that being a person who is kind of taught to not be vulnerable, to not show vulnerability, or in situations where where it's best to not show your vulnerability, where you actually you're like in this society, maybe it's not the best thing to do, and that's something that you're taught to do, is very relatable. And that the fact that, and also that putting all of your thoughts and all those feelings into word and putting it on page is relatable as well. And I think that seeing Xiomara for the first time with spoken word, being able to express those feelings that she has, and her realizing how much power there is in that, is a beautiful thing in the story. I feel like I got into spoken word as well in college for myself, and it was so amazing back then when I first discovered it and discovered how much you could get out of it. I'm not the best on stage. I did do some readings and I did do some spoken word stuff in college, and I don't do it much anymore, but that's because I kind of got what I needed from it by learning that I could put things into words in a different way, because I was just a fiction writer. But then I started doing poetry and doing spoken word in college, and that kind of changed some things. Now I still write those things, I just don't read them anywhere. But just that aspect of the story was something that I was like, oh my gosh, I love this, and why didn't you pick this book up sooner? Why did it take me so long to pick up a book that had a person of color doing spoken word and discovering spoken word and all this? And honestly, I didn't hear a lot about this book before this readathon, honestly, because what I normally read is a little off-center from this. You guys know I read a lot of queer lit, and I didn't know there was going to be an aspect of that in this story, because there is a main character, Xiomara's brother, is gay, which no one told me, by the way. Would have definitely picked this book up sooner. But yeah, I didn't know any of that going into this, and I'm really glad that this got me to read the story, because it's very clearly one of my favorite reads of the year. I think it's just the relatability of it is part of it. The way religion is dealt with in the story. The thing about her brother being gay, her twin, I love the way that Xiomara handled that, and I'm sure, because I felt like there was some struggle there for her, but then she also was just very moved through it very quickly. It reminded me a lot of my sister when I came out to my sister. She's been one of my biggest supporters for years. So I came out to her first, and at first it was a little bit of a struggle there, but she's always been one of my biggest supporters, and that's why I just kind of really love the relationship between Xiomara and her brother. Let's see, what else did I write? There are moments in the story where I really felt the emotion to the point where I cried. There was moments I cried for Xiomara. I felt what she was going through. It was just very intense and visceral, and really just love that. And I think that's a lot of that is the audiobook. This is probably one of my favorite audiobooks I've ever listened to, period. So good, so good. I keep saying, sorry it was a little all over the place. I actually haven't done a a full book review in a while. I've done a lot of graphic novel and comic reviews, And also, I just haven't been filming that much lately. And this new camera is freaking me out, you guys. I don't know if you guys can tell, but my eyes are going all over the place because the new camera that I got from the wedding registry, it's kind of freaking me out a little bit. We'll see. I'll get used to it, I'm sure. Like, just where the light is right now, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to look there. It's hearing me. It's looking into my soul. But yeah, I will see you all in my next video. I will see if I can throw up a queer song of the day. I've been scaling those back a little bit because I keep getting flagged on my Friday 5 videos and I don't want to get flagged on my regular videos. So we'll see if I do, but if I do, but even if I don't, I will put a link down below to a song or, oh no, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a link to my Spotify playlist that I made for April. I have a top 50 queer songs that I'm listening to right now for April. I'm just going to put a link to that Spotify playlist down below so you guys are going to check that out if you want and support some queer artists for streaming their music. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do for this one, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.